Hey everybody! Today's video is something a little different than usual, but I think it's a pretty interesting topic. Toby Fox recently confirmed that Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 will be releasing in 2025, and so in preparation, I wanted to create some save files for me to use. But not just any old save files. I wanted to give myself every single item and option that I possibly could so that I wouldn't miss anything in my playthroughs of the new chapters. This includes the more obvious things like defeating Jevil and Spamton Neo, but there's actually quite a few things that you can do that have minor impacts elsewhere that you might not know about. So join me today as I play through Deltarune Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 again and try to create the most ideal save files possible. Now hold on there just a second. If you remember back in June we sold the Shayy plush here. If you missed out on this, it's okay, do not fear, because a second Shayy plush has hit the channel. This one is jumbo sized, it has a purple heart. It is huge, look at it, it is larger than my head. We want a size comparison between the two of them. This promotion will be running through the entire month of November, so if you want to get yours, you can go get it at the link in the description if you want to grab your big jumbo boy. Look how large he is. He's purple this time around. So starting off with Chapter 1, there's much less to consider for future chapters, as the recruit system wasn't implemented yet. As such, there's only a few variances that need to be accounted for. In Chapter 1, if you never defeat an enemy through violence and always make sure that Susie isn't able to by using the Worn Axe, you'll get what the community will refer to as the true pacifist ending for Chapter 1. The only difference is that you're able to talk to the NPCs one final time before leaving, as Chapter 2 makes all of the Chapter 1 enemies recruits regardless of your decisions, so it doesn't really matter here. Still, I decided to go for it anyway, because I like it more. Here's a fun fact, you can actually get away with defeating the very first Rudin through violence, and so long as no other enemies were defeated violently, this Rudin in Card Castle actually forgives you and will still allow you to see the pacifist ending.
You must create a vessel. Select the head that you prefer. Now, there's a chance that this entity may, appear again. So obviously I should make it look like me, or we make it bald like fucking Giga Chads. Select the torso that you prefer. All right, I've said this a million times. You know you gotta go with a neurodivergent, half-covered wrist, long sleeve shirt. The classic. Select the legs. Now, these are all the same except this one, which is reversed. Now, reversed legs feel weird, so we're gonna go with 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go with this one. You have created a wonderful form. Now, let us shape its mind as your own. What is its favorite food? We got sweet, sour, salty, soft, pain, and cold. Apparently, bitter is so unpopular that it's not even an option here. You have sweet, sour, and salty, no bitter. What the fuck is soft? Pain? I don't know. I'm feeling cold. I'm a notorious ice eater, chat. Where nacho flamin' cheese. Yeah, where's the bitter? You know, we got sweet, sour, salty. Where's bitter? What the fuck is soft? I don't like soft foods, actually. I'm more of a crunch guy myself. We're going pain. Your favorite blood type. All right, we got A, AB, B, C, and D, and I'm pretty sure these two don't exist. I don't think there's a C or a D blood type. Where's O? What did people with O blood types ever do to you, Toby? Yeah, how about we see these nuts? What color does it like most? We got red, blue, green, and cyan, which is just blue again, but slightly different. We got RGB, except it's ordered backwards, so RBG and cyan. I don't know, chat says cyan. We're going cyan. Please give it a gift. Kindness, mind, ambition, bravery, or voice. Well, I'm going with ambition. How do you feel about your creation? It will not hear. Love, hope, disgust, fear. I'm scared. I think I've created a weapon. I've created a... I'm afraid, man. Have you answered honestly? Yeah, pretty honest. I'm an honest person. You acknowledge the possibility of pain and seizure. No, not really. I think those things sound pretty fake to me. Understood. Name your vessel. All right, what are we gonna name the goober? All right, we'll do goober. We'll do goober. That's funny. Shout out Ribbit. Goober. We called it Goober. And what about the creator? Well, that's obvious. That's SHA. YY.
Now, let's talk about the stuff you absolutely need to grab in your Chapter 1 run-through. Several of these are important to the bakery fusion items, which are extremely powerful and will be useful in Chapter 3 and beyond. You can grab the glow shard here almost immediately as soon as the chapter begins, which Chapter 2 states will increase in value as the chapter number increases. This potentially might sell for a lot of money later on. Make sure to grab the white ribbon while making your way through Lancer's Maze, as it combines with Chapter 2's pink ribbon to form the twin ribbon fusion item, the single most powerful accessory in the entire game. Yeah, you heard me. The most powerful. While it doesn't give some of the stat buffs that other items give, the increased graze range effect is individually incredibly strong and enables you to gain more TP than you could before, faster than before, and more easily than before. As a speedrunner of this game, it makes several strategies significantly easier in multiple boss fights, and even if you aren't interested in that, when you finish a battle, remaining TP is converted directly into money. This effect will also become stronger in future chapters, as the formula in the code is simply remaining TP multiplied by 4, then divided by the chapter number. More TP will, at the minimum, give you more money, and that's not even accounting for the easier usage of healing spells in big boss fights as well. It's just an incredible item, definitely make sure to grab it. In the Scarlet Forest area, you can grab the dice brace by solving this puzzle and heading up. It's just a generic defense accessory, but it is one of a kind and may be important later. You can also grab the Ragger item here, which enables Ralsei to do some actually meaningful damage and is my personal preference since I don't get hit very often and prefer offense to defense in this game. It's also time to pick up a few things that are important in future chapters. By going back and forth between these two rooms, there's a 1 in 52 chance that you'll get teleported to the infamous tree room where you can speak to the man behind the tree. The egg he gives you could be very important in future chapters. We don't really know what it does, but more on that later when we return to the light world. In this room, after you scare away the Star Walker, make sure to backtrack to speak to the original Star Walker once. This enables them to show up in the prison and then become an asset for you in Chapter 2, so don't miss out. Also, if you didn't know, by entering this room from the right and having the bird chase you left, you can ring the bell and actually catch up to the Star Walker and get $40 by talking to it. Money is money. You'll eventually have to create the machine to thrash your own ass. I personally picked the duck because I think it's hilarious, and if it comes back in any future chapter, it might have something special since it's like the funny option. But if you're interested in creating the best machine specifically for the Giga Queen fight, there is a correct answer. The only choice that actually influences that fight is your choice of head. The body, the legs, and the various colors don't matter other than personal preference. The best head by far is the Flame Head. The Flame Act makes you deal massively increased damage without basically any downside. When in the prison, make sure to grab the Iron Shackle off the wall. It's actually super useful in this chapter due to its attack boosting, but it's also a fusion component later.
This jello is pissing me off. I'm the original Star Walker.
Once you're done with the story stuff, there's 2 interactions with Malleus, the smith. Obviously, you need to fix up the broken key for Jevil, so you can go ahead and talk to Jevil first and then Sham to get the final key shard, assuming you've been collecting them along the way. But also, there's another thing. In the field, you can talk to the broken cake to gain it as an item, and then have Malleus repair it into the extremely powerful top cake. But don't use that. Take it back to the chef and return, he'll give you the spin cake. While slightly less powerful, it's still an incredible healing item, and more importantly, he will always give you another if you use it, and this extends into future chapters in the castle town. So you can either keep the one-time use top cake or gain a permanently renewable spin cake. And since the spin cake is already a very, very strong omni heal item, this is the choice I personally prefer. When you fight Jevil, you have the choice on how to defeat him, and this changes the item you get. If you defeat Jevil with Axe, you get Jevil's Tail, and armor, and defeating him with violence gets you the Devil's Knife, a weapon for Susie. Jevil's Tail is a significantly better item. It can be used on any character, but more importantly, Susie will receive the auto axe at the beginning of Chapter 2, and it's only one attack point weaker than the Devil's Knife, meaning that auto axe combined with Devil's Tail yields a higher attack stat while also giving you better defense and magic does influence the damage dealt by Rude Buster. Being able to be used by other characters also allows a cheeky DPS build of Ralsei later, but it's also very nice if you do the weird route in Chapter 2, as it will substantially power up Noelle's Ice Shock and turn a few 2-hit encounters into 1-hit encounters. The only benefit that the Devil's Knife has is that it makes Rude Buster only cost 40 TP instead of 50, which sounds awesome, but unfortunately this does not extend to the much more powerful Red Buster act that is usable in the major boss fights. If Devil's Knife discounted Red Buster as well, this would be a much closer choice, but at the moment, Devil's Tail is simply the better item in my opinion. Still, go with whichever you want, it's up to personal preference, use what you want. While scaling the card castle, make sure to stop by this room and interact with every bed. Hathy will upgrade Chris's rank to the Bed Inspector, and this has some flavor text in Chapter 2, so I will assume it'll continue through the rest of the game as well. Stop by Rules' shop here and you can grab the Brave Axe for Susie, which is one of a kind and will assist you in beating King a little bit quicker. I didn't mention the better weapon for Chris, the Spooky Sword, because Sham will still sell it in Chapter 2, but if you want it for the King fight, you can pick it up now. You can backtrack super quickly with the unlocked elevator. I don't really have another place to mention this, but you may notice something funny about Chapter 1. Chris only gets one other weapon while Ralsei and Susie both get 2. There's actually an unused Chris sword called the Trefoil that went unused. It even has a Light World counterpart in the form of a Clover pencil. It's fully functional, and I do really hope they implement it in a patch someday. You can opt to defeat King by simply stalling him out, but being violent has no consequences at all in this fight, and the outcome is always exactly the same. So feel free to put all of your equipment to the test and just beat the shit out of him with super buffed Red Busters. If you don't know, you can actually increase the damage of both Rude and Red Buster simply by pressing Z, or whatever your confirm button is, during the attack animation. Just clicking it a few times to be safe basically guarantees it. It's a yellowed, poorly drawn picture of a green turtle. It's signed Alvin. So why do people keep clowning on this theory exactly? Look, man, I'm just gonna be the one to say it. Why would this be here if he's not important in some way? Come on, guys. Open up your mind to the possibilities. Once you return to the Light World, you can go around and talk with everybody, but there's one extremely important thing to do. Make sure to head to Asgore's shop, the Flower King, and place the egg in the fridge. Chapter 2 has something super similar to this, and I think the eggs will do something special in the future if they're properly placed in their spots. Basically, every interaction with the major characters here alters flavor text in future chapters, so make sure to go around and talk with everyone just to be sure. And don't forget to talk to Rudy and Onion-san. Onion-san won't even show up in Chapter 2 if you don't talk to them here first, so it's very important. Once you're finished, head to Chris's house and go to sleep. Watching this cutscene creates the Chapter 1 completion data that Chapter 2 uses for its save data, so make sure to do this. Then, it's time to start Chapter 2. Chapter 2 has two major routes, the main route and the weird route, otherwise called the Snowgrave route by the community. Though I'll quickly touch on a potential third save file that you may want to make. It is possible to play the weird route right up until Birdley, and then not defeat him with Snowgrave, causing the offense in the game to go back to the main route. The only difference here is that this enables you to actually keep the Thorn Ring, and considering it's required for the Twisted Sword fusion item later down the road, this may have potential as a strange, altered version of the main route. Though, to be completely honest, I don't think it'll lead to very much, if anything at all. I'm almost sort of expecting some NPC to come and steal the Thorn Ring from you as kind of a, oops, we didn't account for this outcome, give that shit back, joke encounter. So with that one out of the way, I'll be making two save files here. A fully pacifist main route file and a weird route file. Let's start with the main route, and keep in mind everything up until the Cyber City area is the exact same for the weird route file, except that you don't have to worry about recruits in the weird route file since you lose them all anyway. At the beginning of the chapter, you can give Sham your first Shadow Crystal from Jevil and get two of the fusion items, the Double Dark Burger, which is just a healing item, and the Silver Card. Both of the components are sold by Sham. I'd definitely at least grab one silver card for that 5% money boost. There's also some special dialogue while grabbing all of the Chapter 1 Dark World stuff from the closet if you instead go down during this cutscene.
And how is Chris doing? They're great, Tori. One of my favorite students, a real star.
Oh, how wonderful.
They have not been up to anything strange. Haha, no, they're normal. Well, that's relieving. I've just been a little concerned lately. Just lately. You take it easy too, Alphys. I am always cheering you on, alright? Thanks! Oh, excuse me, I seem to be receiving a phone call. Chris, what is it, honey? What? You're normal? Could you explain what you mean by that? Chris, don't give the phone to me. Are you going to the library later?
Once you make it to the Dark World, before fighting Sweet Captain Cakes and getting the R and S action abilities, you're able to get a few things. You can get Werewire, Task, and Viro-Kun as recruits, importantly. Make sure to also stop by and borrow Newbert's treasure and talk to Newbert. If you don't talk to him, your sins will never be forgiven. Make sure to also get all 3 blue check marks to attract the hacker to your castle town, though be careful, as they might start grifting in the replies to Major Oh, wait a minute, sorry, that's the wrong place. Stop by the shop after the fight to pick up the auto axe for Susie and the mecha saber for Chris. These are both of their best weapons unless you opted for the Devil's Knife in Chapter 1. After making fun of the Fedora guy who is shocked that they got plugged by Queen despite voting for the Queen Plugs Everybody's Faces party, make sure to pick up the tension bit in this room and never use it. It's a one-time use item that makes you gain TP in battle, but it's also a fusion item component for the tension bow, a super useful item, and it is one of a kind, so be careful. On the way up to the roller coaster, getting every purple arrow gets you the Ragger 2, which is just a better version of the Ragger. Again, it's what I personally prefer, since I like damage. Don't worry if you missed this the first time, by the way. You can come back for it later after gaining access to the warp door. Once you land in the garbage, make sure to talk to Newbert again, or else you will be hunted down relentlessly when the purge happens. But seriously though, if you're going to do the weird route, make sure you take Jevil's Tail off of Susie now so you can use it on Noelle. This room is your last chance, and I actually forgot to do it in my playthrough here. Once you're alone in Cyber City, you can run into Pop-Up, who's super easy to recruit. Just use the click act to add pop-ups until there's 3, and then one more click will spare all 3 at once and recruit them all in one go. Once you get Noelle in the party, this is where the paths diverge. So let's talk about the weird route first, because it's honestly really quick and barely anything matters since you're locked out of quite a lot of items and recruits. Having 3 save file slots is nice because until now, you can just play all on one slot and then simply use slot 2 from this point on for your weird route run and return to slot 1 to finish with the main route. The only thing of note exclusive to this route is that you can take Noelle's watch, and if you equip it on Chris, there will actually be special dialogue in the light world where she freaks out over Chris wearing her watch. I also feel the need to point out that I was the very first person to discover this dialogue and provide footage of it, by complete accident too. I'm even credited in the route document. Your last chance to change your equipment and therefore take the watch and also take the Jevil's Tail back is right before fighting Birdly. You can also run into the special 1 in 100 Miss Pippis encounter in the room, exclusive to the weird route, and what do you know, I got it on my first try. It doesn't do anything, but it's pretty funny.
Wow! That's crazy. Not the Miss Pippis on the first one.
The game doesn't mention this, but after defeating Spampton Neo on the weird route, the puppet scarf is placed in your inventory. It's usually given to you if you defeat Neo with violence in the main route, but here you don't have a choice. It's an all-out glass cannon item for Ralsei, more on that later. Other than the thing I mentioned, the light world plays out exactly the same as the main route, so let's get back to the main route and cover everything you can do there. Starting from this point, you can recruit Ambulance, and more chances at Viro-Kun if you missed it earlier. Right after getting Noelle, head to the left in this room to get the pink ribbon, which I mentioned earlier as a fusion component for the twin ribbon. Pink ribbon on its own still provides the graze area effect, so definitely use this. You can also pick up the Bounce Blade, a weapon for Chris that lowers their attack but gives more defense, which is genuinely useful in a purely pacifist act-only run. Make sure to stop by the secret room where you can get run over by Toby Fox. You can find the moss in the left corner of the room, though you may actually want to hold off on doing this, as there is special dialogue for doing this with Susie instead if you come back with her. These are mutually exclusive, so pick whichever you prefer. What's not mutually exclusive is that your second egg can be found in between these two rooms. Looking back on my original playthrough, I was so close to discovering this on the chapter's launch night. Unlucky. You can recruit Mouse here in the Cheese Maze room. And while driving through traffic, if you hold left and right down at the same time, you become incapable of hitting any cars. This is useful as you actually get a special mini car NPC in Castletown if you don't hit any. Make sure to accept Spamton's deal so you can fight Neo. During this cutscene, you have a choice of who to give the gift to. At the moment, selecting Susie is the best option, as the Susie plush will actually appear in her room. If the other Lighteners get rooms in the Castletown later, it's possible the plush may appear there later. But for now, Susie is the correct answer. In Queen's Palace, you can recruit Swatchling, then take the offshoot to do the Spamton Neo side quest. It's worth noting that the broken sword and frayed bow tie that he sells, called the Big One and the Big Shot bow tie in the store, are exclusively here and missable. I have a feeling that the broken sword may actually be super useful later, just call it a hunch. In the proper Swatch store in the mansion, the Big Shot bow tie sold here is a fusion component. Make sure to pick it up. Interestingly, there isn't anything special if you opt to keep the loaded disc in your inventory. In fact, it's actually just removed from your inventory completely after the chapter ends.
All right, I need everybody to look to the left side of the screen when we get back. Come on. There we go. Look to the left side of your screen. Yo, what's up, Birdly? How we doing? Yo, what's up, Birdly? How's it going? Shout out to OBJ _ Weird Route Manipulator, my beloved.
When you fight Spamton Neo, just like Jevil, there's two different rewards, the Deal Maker and the Puppet Scarf. The Puppet Scarf is the violence reward and is Ralsei's strongest weapon, but with the drawback of greatly reducing his magic stats, so healing is not nearly as good. It is a glass cannon option. Deal Maker is the Mercy reward, and in my opinion, is the better item, and it gives a massive 30% extra money from all encounters and a huge buff to stats, particularly magic. You can combine this and Jevil's Tail on Susie in order to imbue her with the power of Doomed Yowie between Jevil and Spamton to make her stats absolutely massive. Doomed Yowie, holy shit, did I really write that? While climbing through the rest of Queen's Mansion, you'll recruit Mousewheel, Task Manager, and finally, Wire. This will complete all of your recruits for Chapter 2. If you're missing one, Trashy will appear on the staircase before Wire to remind you. If you go into Noelle's room, you can pick up the Susie statue and the ICE plush for Susie and Chris's rooms respectively. Now, unlike King, how you defeat Queen actually matters. Defeating her with violence and ignoring Birdly will cause his arm to be broken in both the dark and light worlds. So if you want, make sure to defeat her by loosening Birdly in order to avoid that. You can still defeat her giant shields though by attacking, if you want to take advantage of your massive stats, as with your equipment, a Red Buster and Ralsei attack will break even her biggest shield in a single turn. The smallest shield is actually broken by just Red Buster alone, too. Once you're back in the light world, again, make sure to talk with everybody. There's a secret cutscene at the bunker, you can talk to Alvin in the graveyard, Onion San again, but most importantly, Noelle and Rudy in the hospital. You can also talk to Undyne, which causes her to accidentally free the dogs in prison. You can give Alphys a box of chocolates from Undyne as well. And make sure to stop by Sans' grocery store and go over to the left side and talk to the egg basket. This is where you can place the egg from Chapter 2. Again, I think placing these eggs every chapter will probably do something very special in the future, so make sure to do this. You can also watch the most divorced man in the history of time embarrass himself in broad daylight, so there's that.
And don't forget me, your ex-husband. I don't know how they have managed for a video game cutscene to feel such strong secondhand embarrassment for fictional characters.
Now, unlike Chapter 1, you can return to the Dark World in order to get all of the recruits in your castle town and save. There's a lot of fun dialogue here with all the recruits, so have fun with it. You can hand your second Shadow Crystal over to Sham and complete the dojo challenges. These dojo challenges do not penalize you for using violence, so feel free to go all out. Completing the Chapter 2 All-Stars challenge gets you the exclusive Tension Gem, a better version of the Tension Bit that also doesn't become a fusion item, so you don't feel everlasting guilt about using it. Speaking of the fusion items, make sure to go over and grab all of them. You should be able to make every single one listed except the Twisted Sword. If you've been collecting every possible item, and not even just the important ones, you'll have just enough room in your inventory and storage combined to hold at least one copy of all of them. Here's my complete inventory with one of everything I could get. I really do hope they expand the storage further in Chapter 3, so I can at least hold one of every item in the game, because I'm a massive hoarder and don't want to part with my items. You're able to save here, so you don't have to do everything all at once, remember that. Once you're ready and have done all you can, head over to Chris's house to watch the ending. This cutscene sets up the completion data that'll be used by Chapter 3 when it releases, so make sure to watch it. And you also have to watch it for your weird route file as well. And that was it. I now have a set of functionally fully complete save files for use with Chapter 3 when it releases. I hope this video helped remind you of stuff you may have forgotten about, or was just an enjoyable to watch me play through Deltarune again. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.